Well, folks, Ireland, Scotland, 36-14. Pretty emphatic in the end. Quarter-final matchup set up between Ireland and my All Blacks for next week. For this game, we'll go through some key events and stats. You guys can let us know your thoughts. Obviously, man, that score blows out. But I think the best moment for me from the Irish side, weirdly, and Gregor Townsend kind of mentioned it in this little just post-match chat as well, was that period where they just held the Scots out at the start of the game. That was just incredible. The crowd was incredible, really, really loud. The Irish fans, it's hard to outmatch them for voice. I feel like maybe only the French fans would be on a par with them at the moment because, yeah, there's a lot of Irish fans in the crowd and they're pretty vocal, which is what the players must be loving. And they had the ideal start, man. 1 minute, I mean, they kicked to Keenan. Ireland are able to work some phases, and then that Ringrose dummy goes through a weak gap, gets the ball, Hansen to Lowe out on the left wing in the corner. Missed conversion, but 5 points to 0. It's looking like pretty perfect, man. It's only just over a minute they get on the board. Incredible start. But, as I mentioned, then I think the winning of the game comes in this long period. Like Kinghorn takes a Jamison Gibson-Park high box kick from the restart, so it's a good bit of field position for Scotland. Good chance to attack. Doris gives away a high tackle for a shot on Schoeman, and Scotland want to go for the tries. They really want to, put themselves in the best position to make a quarterfinal as possible. Why not? They go for touch. They need the tries. They go through some phases. They shift left, and eventually, bloody Doris wins the penalty. So he gives it away, and then he makes up for it by I think it was on Duhan, for not releasing. So first kind of challenge met by the Irish defenders. Remember, the Scottish attack's bloody good. So to keep them scoreless for as long as they did speaks to just how hard they are to break down. Ireland, 9 minutes. They got a knock on in their own half. It's a scrum. Scotland win a scrum penalty. So it's another chance for Scotland to go for touch. Ireland kind of steal the line out, but still knock it back into touch. So it's actually another line out for the Scots, even closer to the Irish goal line. They maul it. They get it wide to Darcy Graham. It's another penalty conceded from Ireland. It's another chance for Scotland to go for touch. And they go through phases. They go through 18 phases. And they're going backwards for part of the time until eventually Scotland knock it on. And from that knock on, it's a scrum. The scrum, this time it's a penalty to Ireland. For me, man, that's a massive bit of momentum. Like, I know Ireland score in the first 2 minutes, but you've basically spent 10 minutes defending, as I said, against a really good Scottish attack and conceded nothing. And didn't even look like conceding points. There was no, held up over the line, overlap that they didn't pass it kind of thing. It was all pretty comfortable. Hugo Keenan caught a kick through next to the touchline, which they said wasn't in touch. That was pretty borderline. And then later on, Darcy Graham marked one back in his own backfield as well. Whether he was in his own 22 at the time he caught it, both of those decisions were pretty borderline, but both of those guys given the benefit of the doubt. Ireland knock on and their next kind of attack. Jamie Ritchie goes off for injured ribs, which is a pity, and Kinghorn's already gone off for an HIA in his 50th game, which he fails. So not ideal for Scotland to concede that early try, unable to break down the Irish defence, and then two of your kind of big players injured in the first 20 minutes. Not ideal. Mack Hansen's gone off as well, and then he comes back on for 2 minutes, and then he goes back off. So at one point in this game, because James Lowe goes off as well, there's one point in this game, and Darcy Graham goes off later. You've literally got all four of the halfbacks on the field at the same time, all four scrum halves. A couple of them playing on the wings. So, bizarre. I mean, maybe we'll have to see what the kind of longer-term injury prospects are for the Irish guys. But, yeah, guys like James Lowe and Mack Hansen's injuries, we'll have to kind of wait and see how serious they are. James Ryan seemed to take a bit of a knock later on in the game, but seemed to kind of shake it off. But, yeah, I mean, that'll come in the coming days. But, yes, ultimately, after all that Scotland are still scoreless, and Ireland have got that narrow 5-point lead. But then there's another kind of key moment because they get into a bit of a kicking duel. Like Russell comes so close to kicking a 50-22, but Keenan does really well to keep it inside. Then there's another kick through that Garry Ringrose shows a bit of footballing skills to kind of control it, and then his kick is pretty good. Ali Price's kick under pressure, not so great. So it's a great bit of kicking expertise from the Irish guys to get themselves some good field position. And from that field position, they score. They don't muck around, man. It's a line-out move. They spread it wide. Some great hands. Like the pass from Aki to Ringrose is pretty sweet. Keenan's the guy who's able to finish it off, so he'll get the name on the scoreboard. But multiple guys had their hands in the build-up. That was Sexton to Mccloskey. I think it was Mccloskey to Aki. Or was it Mccloskey to Sexton? I can't remember. But yeah, multiple passes out the back just to keep the ball moving just prior to contact. Converted try. 12-0. Brutal for Scotland because that's pretty much Ireland's first hit back after all that pressure that they had exerted. And then Scotland in reply, they go 9 phases. Andrew Porter wins a turnover. Ireland go 9 phases. Henderson scores a try. Burrows over, just reaches out from close range. Like, that's the difference, eh? 19-0. Tadhg concedes a penalty for a neck roll on Andrew Porter because, he's a threat at the breakdown. You've got to get rid of him somehow. Well, in this case, you err on the wrong side of the law. So he gives away a penalty. Ireland line out. They maul it. They get advantage. Back for the penalty. Ireland tap it. And then maybe one of the better defensive players is old Nick Berry, getting in the way of some Irish little set play out the back. So he said he didn't see it coming. I don't know if the Scottish defenders would have seen it coming, but either way, it's a scrum. And Scotland concede a penalty from that scrum. Ireland tap it again. So that try that they missed out on, potentially, they basically get it back because the forwards go through a couple of phases. Sexton spreads it wide. Keenan is able to finish off a second one. So it's 24-0 at halftime. And looking like Ireland are maybe not even going to concede any points. Who knows? I mean, run meters 220 to 172. Clean breaks 3-zip. Ireland to dominate those areas. Penalties conceded 6 by Scotland, 3 by Ireland. Ireland's line-out, which has always been under a bit of a question mark in recent times. 8 from 8 in the first half. 5 from 7 for the Scots. Scotland have edged the position and territory, but no points on the board to show for it. Second half, bit of handbags. Ollie Smith with a wee trip on Sexton. Sexton didn't appreciate it. Gets up in his face. Xander Fagerson comes in. Of course he does. Peter Romani gets involved. Then there's Dan Sheehan and Pierce Schoolman? There's a lot of pushing and shoving. And eventually TMO just winds it back and says it's basically Smith that started it. So Smith gets a yellow card. It's a pretty bloody soft yellow card, seeing as Sexton didn't even trip over. He just stumbled. But why do that? Why? When your team is 24-0 down, why trip a guy? Just because you don't like him? Just because you're frustrated? I don't know, but don't do it. It's simple as that. It's no need for it, but he does it. So what do the Irish do when they got an extra man? They punish him, man. Gibson-Park was everywhere. He's out in the right wing, and then Ireland go left, and he puts in the final pass for Dan Sheehan to go over. So then it's 31-0. At that point, Ireland are comfortable enough to clear their bench. Sexton goes off. A bunch of the forwards go off. And Scotland, man, just a few unforced errors. They kick for touch, but Ireland are able to keep it in. Darcy Graham, as I mentioned, goes off injured. Scotland have a tap 5 metres out at one point. They ended up knocking it on after about 2 phases. And then Ireland just hit you back, man. Ireland with the cross kick, Crowley to Ringrose. Crowley looks the business. I think Crowley, once Sexton retires, is going to be your guy. I think he looks... I know he's only a young guy, but for Munster and for Ireland, he looks the part. You guys have had a few guys at Carberry and Ross Beirne and... What's the other Beirne? Harry Beirne. But, Jack Crowley, at the minute anyway, he looks pretty sharp. So, by that point, it's 36 points to 0. But that's the last score for Ireland. When they do the match review, I'm sure they will look back at this last quarter and have some learnings, as the All Blacks coaches would say, to look back on. And Scotland proved that if you give them a chance, man, they can go bang bang and score a couple of tries. You get one with Ashman scampering down the right wing after, I think it was just one Irish missed tackle. Was it Henderson on Tupulotu? One missed tackle, Boomfa. It's a Scottish try, 36-7. Then a couple of minutes later, or a minute later, second one, Ali Price from a Hugh Jones line break. Ollie Smith with the support line, final pass to Price, 36-14. So at least there's a bit of respectability there for the Scots. Their attack can, honestly, we've seen it before, can amaze us, but they were largely kept pretty quiet, especially in that first half. James Ryan looked to pick up a bit of an injury, like I said, but he seemed to kind of walk it off. There was one pass he made, it was really laboured after that period where he'd gone down injured. Keenan smart when he gets a mark, takes his time with it, slow the game down. There's 10 minutes to go. Why rush? The game's already won. But then weirdly, Ireland still wanted to go for tries. They got a penalty right on full time. 1 minute to go and decided to take a tap. Bealham looked like he'd gone over for a try, but they ruled there was a knock on in the build-up. So I don't know why they didn't take the 3, but just going for the jugular. Wanted to put them to the sword. So yeah, Duhan van der Merwe had one big last carry, but nothing really came from it. But you notice we didn't really mention Duhan because he wasn't really that involved, which is unusual. So, but similar to the kind of South African game where the Scottish attack wasn't able to kind of unleash like they usually do. Run meters finished 666 Scotland, 448 Ireland. Ireland ended up making 202 tackles to Scotland's 142. But man, they can win some turnovers, 7-3. Yeah, they shut you down and then they turn you over and they go out on the other end and punish you. Happily for Ireland, their line-out was 12 from 12, which has been an area of concern, but not this week. Scotland 9 from 12, so a little bit disrupted. Also, Scotland 13 turnovers conceded to Ireland's 8, so a little bit of drop ball and sometimes just the breakdown. Individuals, Ringrose, 3 clean breaks, a try assist. Keenan, 2 tries, 66 metres, beats 2 defenders, still looks safe under the high ball. Doris, 22 out of 23 tackles. Van der Flier, 21 out of 23 tackles. Gibson-Park everywhere, gets man of the match. Darcy Graham, 39 metres, low for him. Van der Merwe, 65, about 30 of them at the end. Pretty quiet. Dempsey, 68 metres, 3 defenders beaten at 12 from 12 tackles in a losing shift from the Scots. Ireland take on the All Blacks next week, and my dad sent me a message to say, I'd rather be facing England, son. But it's going to be a big game. You guys let us know your thoughts on this one. Take care of yourselves. If you're looking for something to do between now and then, I got another channel called 2 Cents on Tour, wandering around China, speaking Chinese to random people. But there you go, something different. You guys take care, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.